everything works if you break your head over it.
Yeah.
Just sit at the desk and work hard.
And just work hard.
Ultimately, that is what law is. It's a profession that, notwithstanding anything else, just rewards preparation.
Yes.
So, I mean,
I love that.
It's very easy to get into the sort of advice, do this,
Yeah.
wear a tie, put on a jacket,
Yeah.
be personable,
Yeah.
be confident, don't be afraid of being social. All of those are true.
Yes.
But ultimately, people just want a lawyer that's effective.
Yeah.
And a lawyer that's effective is one that knows what's going on.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Suits and Stories. Today we have a phenomenal guest that I've known for quite some time. He's going to be telling us a little bit more about his career journey. And as I said, guys, the idea around Suits and Stories is really just to hear very interesting and inspiring stories from professionals that are doing amazing things in their career across all different industries. So I want to welcome today Suhail, who is here in studio with me. Suhail, welcome.
Thanks, Paile. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Good to see you. So as I said, guys, Suhail and I, we go back, right? And he was one of those that I think from the get-go when he started in private, in law and in practice, he was just gung-ho on where he is currently. But we're going to first hear about his journey a little bit more and just get a better sense of who he is. But Suhail, maybe just to introduce yourself a little bit more, tell me if you had a bucket list item that you want to achieve very soon. What is that for you?
Well, I guess it depends from where. When I was at university, when I'd started studying law, I was quite unsure as to what was what.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware the difference between an attorney or an advocate, etc., etc. I come from mainly a medical family, not many lawyers.
Medical?
Well, my dad's cousins, and so forth. And that's pretty much where I thought that my career would go.
Okay.
But after I did pharmacy and after I started law, I wasn't quite sure what was really open to me in the career.
Hold on. You did pharmacy?
Well, I finished the pharmacy degree, yeah. So that's what I did straight out of high school.
Amazing. So you were going to go the medical-ish route and then decided...
My plan was to do medicine after pharmacy. And as I started going through it and as I started going through the degree, I realized I wasn't quite as into it as I thought I would be.
Yeah.
And by around my third year of the 4-year degree, I sort of figured I wanted a way out. And I then did some digging, and law looked very interesting. Let me do the things I like, which is read and write and argue. I then looked at the sort of different avenues I could approach to get into law. And at that stage, there were two options to me. There was really leave the pharmacy degree and then start the 5-year law degree afresh.
Yeah.
Or what I then found Wits had was a 3-year postgraduate LLB for anyone who'd completed any other degree. And when I did the numbers, it was just easier to finish the 4th year and start law afresh. It would have been at the 3-year degree, it would have been 4 years as opposed to 5. And I wouldn't have had to waste those previous 3 years that I'd spent at campus.
I get it.
And so it just made sense to finish. At some point, I figured maybe it would help. I thought maybe it opens the door for patent law or medical law, something to that effect. But
I see.
More than anything, it was just a decision I looked at numbers. It didn't make sense to do 5 as opposed to 4.
And as opposed to 4. But you know what I like about that is that, a lot of people will realize maybe halfway through their degree, it's not what I want to do. And will decide like after 3 years that, well, I'm just going to leave it, drop out and change, And I think the decision to finish and have that qualification and then find a way to have like almost a postgrad actually benefits you because at the end of the day, you've got the 2 qualifications, right?
Yeah. So look, I spoke to a few people who I know. People who had studied law, so in my cohort. And most of them told me that, the stuff in the undergrad helps them mainly understand commercial work and whatever else. But I didn't think my pharmacy degree was an impediment to that. It's something you could just learn on the ground. It's not difficult. At least I thought it wouldn't be.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've made use of that degree?
Not directly, but very much so indirectly. I'd initially thought I'd use it for patent law and that sort of thing where the science degree is pretty much a prerequisite. But my practice has become a commercial practice, probably from where I started it. I'll get there now, I'm sure. But where it does help me is that, the majors I did during my pharmacy degree were chemistry and science.
Yes.
You've got to sort of think in a very scientific way. They call it, the scientific method: identify a problem, test a solution, get an answer.
Yeah.
And that sort of thinking is something I use as a lawyer all the time.
Yeah.
I think the clinical training and the science training is meant I'm not too bothered by distractions in the legal process. I'm able to adopt a bit more of a stricter approach to understanding
Approach to
it.
it.
So it's helped me in a way I didn't think it would have.
Yeah, I get you.
But I'm
I
glad
get
I
you.
finished it. I mean, I don't like leaving things halfway.
Hanging. Yeah.
And it's often just more of an explanation as to why you ducked out as opposed.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
I just said, let me finish it. Also, I had a lot of friends then at med school. Just wanted to see it through with them.
Yeah, I get you.
So I did that.
I
And
get you.
yeah, it was also an easier sell, than having to say, well, look, I'm doing the other degree, but I finished this. Those 2 years, the 3-year fees wasn't a waste of money.
Yeah.
I actually ended up doing the thing. And if anything goes wrong with law, I've got a second career.
Which I doubt.
Yeah, but at the time I was very unsure.
Yeah, I get it.
I had
I
no
get it.
insight into what legal practice may
Was
or may not
about.
be, whether I'd be able to swing it.
And now that you've been in it, though, so now that you've kind of gone through, did your articles, currently not in that space,
Well-
how have you found law as a whole?
I'm very happy with it. I mean, I don't think I'd do anything else. There's a lot more opportunity to make a lot more money elsewhere in
Yeah.
business and whatever else. And
Yeah.
I feel comfortable doing that. I've run businesses before.
Yeah.
But I enjoy what I do.
Yeah. You seem like quite a
it's-
natural
it's
at it, though.
It sort of lets me be as curious as I want.
Yeah,
every
yeah.
different case for every different client is in a different industry that I've got to learn and understand. And
Yes.
I like that. I like that it's not all the same.
Yeah.
So it's good. We're in the very few careers that lets you do a different thing every day. And
No, very true.
someone who gets bored quickly, I'm very happy with it.
You're someone that gets bored very quickly. No, it's good. I think the diversity in law really allows for you to kind of change your career as you're going
Yeah,
along,
yeah.
right?
Tons of strokes, many different folks. It's
Very true.
in our building, there's over 100 advocates. Each with a very unique practice.
Yes.
Each with very unique experiences, and we've all got completely separate. Almost we're in separate careers altogether, but
all kind of in the same
yeah.
thing.
It's a very interesting place. The bar is a very interesting place because of that.
Tell us a little bit more about that, because I think there's a lot of people that are probably curious about going to the bar. They may be in practice currently and kind of feeling like, okay, I get it. I maybe do want to become an advocate. I do want to go to the bar. What do you think for you has been like kind of the key difference between those two spaces?
It's very difficult. People ask me this quite often. A lot of people tell you it's not the glamorous thing you see on TV. It is partly, though.
Is it?
It's quite exciting, sort of being in court and arguing, and that's nice. What's very different about it is that you are pretty much on your own. Your practice is yours.
Yeah.
You don't make money from a firm. You don't share in the profits of your group. Your practice is which attorneys knock on your door and what work you do.
Really?
Yes. The accountability stops and starts with you.
So how do you start building that, like coming in? That sounds a bit hectic. Like for someone, especially when you're junior and you're coming into it.
It's not that, and that's why I don't ever advise people straight out of university to do it.
Okay.
You're simply not experienced enough in law to understand how practically matters need to be argued.
Yes.
It's a very interesting thing. I started the bar quite early in my legal career, after 2 years at Bowman's. I was still 28 by the time I'd started because I did the 4-year and pharmacy and the 3-year.
Yes.
So I was relatively old and had
Yeah.
decent life experience.
Yes.
From my undergrad, from running a business from my undergrad through my law degree,
Yeah.
from the law degree itself, and then from articles. And when I worked part-time throughout both those degrees. So I felt I was still a bit more attuned to the way of the world. I was sort of mature enough to understand that you don't chase down every point, how to take a more measured approach to things. Because very often when people come to advocates, as far as I understand so far, it's still early in my career there, they come to you not just for your knowledge of the law, but really for you to make the difficult judgment calls.
Yeah.
And you've got to feel comfortable doing that. I felt comfortable doing that towards the end of my time at Bowman's because I was put in a team that trusted me to handle things pretty much on my own. And I worked with partners and with lawyers that let me work on matters the way I thought was right to do so. Obviously, with supervision.
With supervision, yes.
Lots of supervision. I was allowed to sort of pitch ideas, and if they worked, we implemented them. And a lot of the times I found they did work.
Yeah.
At that stage, I felt, look, if I can do it here, I'm comfortable enough to do it on my own. You then do pupillage. Pupillage is good. You spend time with a good mentor. You build relationships there. But ultimately, you've got to hope people call you. Your first couple of months are a bit stressful because your phone, you've just got to wait for it to ring.
Would you advise that people spend how many years in practice first?
It's different for everyone.
Is it?
But the moment you should come to the bar, I think, is the moment you're comfortable enough to run a matter fully on your own.
Yeah. And you've got the clients, right? You've got some relationships with some people.
Well, with attorneys, yes, with your attorneys.
Yeah.
I felt confident knowing that my old team would give me work.
Okay.
And they did, thankfully.
Okay.
But it's a bit odd, the moment you start doing a good job for one person, news catches, and eventually
you've got other people coming.
You've got other people coming.
Okay.
But it is also an element of luck,
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean,
I guess so.
Sometimes people call you at the right time.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yes, I get you.
So that's the one thing you can't get. If you try and completely engineer your career with the way you're going to handle stuff at the bar, you're going to sort of find yourself a bit disappointed.
I get you.
Because more often than not, people who you're quite sure will give you work don't. I was very lucky; it went the other way. The team that said they'd give me work did.
Yes. But like you say, Suhail, I think the only reason why you're able to get the work from the team is because you gave them a sense of confidence in your ability to run a matter. They were giving you the opportunity to run matters already whilst you were there, but it's you have to have a certain type of personality or people to give you that kind of responsibility early in your career.
I think you've got to ask for responsibility. And I've always said it, and people always look at me like I'm a bit crazy, but if you're going to sort of sit in the corner and just keep your head down and
work's not going to come to you.
Not put your head on the line and sort of be prepared. More important, be prepared to take the consequences if everything goes wrong.
Yes, that's so crucial.
Then you're not going to get the upside if it goes right. It's especially in law where there's thousands of lawyers across the country. You've got to stand up by saying, look, I can do this. If it goes wrong, I'll take the hit. It's a big confidence thing. The bar especially is a confidence thing. Everyone thinks you've got to be very outspoken, very extroverted. That's not true.
Okay.
Some of the best counsel I've worked with are pretty much very private, introverted, soft-spoken people. But
what makes them good?
But they're confident enough to know the law, to understand that the path they've chosen or the approach they've chosen, the correct one, and they're sort of confident enough to get their attorneys and their clients to believe in them. And that's important. So it doesn't, you don't have to be the loud, outspoken type to be a good advocate. You've got to be firm and confident. That I think is non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable.
Yeah, it's not it's not the sort of place that rewards timidity.
Yes, especially when you have to build you're almost running your own practice.
You are running your own practice. You get a room in Chambers and you've got to pay rent for it. How you do that and what you churn out of your practice is up to you. You can work an 8-hour day if you want, and you can only send out a bill for those 8 hours, or you can do what 90% of us do. Which is 16 hours a day at the office. And,
are you kidding me?
And I can't remember a weekend where I've not been at Chambers in the past 2 years. So,
16 hours, guys. Are you ready for 16 hours of being in?
So it's not like it's not easy. It's quite a taxing thing. And there's plenty of people who do pupillage and realize this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You've just got to be a bit honest with yourself. It's not an easy thing where the work comes in and you send out sort of invoices and everything.
You have to actually graft. It's actually sounding a lot more like my journey at this point in time. So being an entrepreneur it's very different. Like when you've been in corporate and you used to kind of, you come in, the work is already there, do the work.
Oh, no comfort of a salary.
No comfort of a salary, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes I do find myself kind of working in the hours, sleeping at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., because I'm trying to figure out this email system so that I could optimize on this particular, like, guys, you just sit and you're like constantly working on your own practice, on your own business. And the rewarding part of it is that you can work that long, but you know it's benefiting you. Like it's not something where you're working 16 hours and you're going to get...
Yeah, look, it helps the money's in your pocket.
The money's in your pocket.
So that helps, you know.
Okay. So you're happy you took this journey? You feeling comfortable in doing it?
I've always sort of felt, after I figured out the difference between attorneys and advocates, and after I started doing moot competitions, I always really figured the bar was the place for me. It was the sort of place that lets me deal with the small details of the law and draft and research and, you know, do all the nerdy things that most people don't like to do.
Yes.
And to be around people who do that.
Yes.
And so that's nice. You know, my work is not as corporate, as it were. It's not dealing specifically with clients. And it's dealing with the law mainly. And I enjoy that. But some people don't.
Yes.
It's very important to realize that early on.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not the sort of person who likes to sit and spend hours trying to figure out what a specific comma in a specific sentence means, then, you know, a job that requires you to do that for 15 hours, 10 hours of the day is not for you.
Is not for you.
And there's no shame in that. Not, you know, there's no, I think,
no,
there's
I mean,
no,
you
like,
choose.
there's no hierarchy of lawyers. It's not like
Yes.
advocates are the pinnacle of the legal profession.
You just need to know
You've
who
just got
you
to
are
know, yeah, and what you like.
and what you love.
Yeah.
And that's what you follow.
I mean, you'd remember from the start, when I started articles, I
Yeah.
told you I want to be in litigation, and I only want to be in litigation.
Yes, because your view was to end up becoming an advocate.
And that's it. So I was just quite sure that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I get that.
But even then, I kept an open mind about staying as an attorney. And for a large part, I'd have liked to have stayed longer. What had happened is I'd applied. I was at a point in my life where I'd just gotten engaged. And I knew if I didn't do it at this early stage, I'd probably never do it again. It may have been too early. But I mean, life, as I've realized, sometimes just requires you to take the plunge.
Just take the plunge.
So I did. You know, it was a bit earlier than I thought.
Yeah.
But it's worked out. It would have been nicer to stay on, but that's also just because I liked where I was.
Yeah. Yeah. You were comfortable and you were happy doing the kind of work that you were doing at the time.
And it was good work with good team, and it was not like I was underpaid or anything like that. It was a big corporate firm. Everything was good. I could easily have stayed there, and I would have loved staying there.
Yeah.
I'm still very close socially to everyone in that team.
To everyone that's there. Yeah.
I still actually laugh.
It's a great bunch of people.
I feel like I'm a part of the team.
So given the route that you've taken now, when you think about the fact that none of your family is in law, like even your, you know, uncles or cousins or whatever the case may be, what's the one piece of advice you wish someone had given you about law prior to getting in, and why?
You know, the only advice I've ever been given by anyone in my family, I mean, across the range of careers, is that everything works if you break your head over it.
Yeah.
Just sit at the desk and work hard.
And just work hard.
Ultimately, that is what law is. It's a profession that, notwithstanding anything else, just rewards preparation.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I love that.
It's very easy to get into the sort of advice, do this.
Yeah.
Wear a tie, put on a jacket.
Yeah.
Be personable.
Yeah.
Be confident, you know, don't be afraid of being social. All of those are true.
Yes.
But ultimately, people just want a lawyer that's effective.
Yeah.
And a lawyer that's effective is one that knows what's going on.
Yeah. Someone that's just going to get the work done.
Yeah. So,
someone that's going to get the work
done. And I mean,
done.
you'll know from your time at Bowman Zip, every single person that's come through and done articles and stayed on this, we're all very different. You know, some are quiet, some are not. Some are, you know, mischievous, some are not.
Yeah.
But everyone works hard.
Yeah. And it's so true, because I think so often I like to tell people the only way that you're going to be successful at something is if you prepare for it. And the harder you prepare for something, the more confident you feel in yourself.
Yeah.
Why? Because you've done the work, you've done the background work, you are coming in with some level of, understanding of what you're coming into, but also you feel confident to voice your opinion if there is an opinion to be voiced,
Yeah.
right? So preparation, I love what you said. Like corporate as a whole, I think rewards preparation. The more prepared you are, the better you're able to do.
For anyone at university, maybe even at high school, if this is watched by people in high school, that I'd advise, and I think it made it easier for me to get into a bigger firm, is to really diversify what you do. So, I mean, it's good to get good marks, and it's important that you are really an A-type student. Like people always say, no, you don't need the distinctions in university. You really
You do.
Uh,
It's a lie.
because aside from it giving you like career competence, and maybe sometimes you can learn the law and stuff afterwards, it puts you in with the bigger firms where you really develop yourself really quickly. And so unfortunately, people don't like to hear it. No one likes to hear it.
Yeah.
And ask for marks, and they say, well, why? And I said, because actually they count. For a hiring perspective, it's easier for a recruiter or a hire to sell, look, here's the A.
You see, guys, it's not just coming from me, right? You think sometimes bohlale is just always punting on marks and doing well. But the reality is that there's so many law students that are coming out of all the different universities across the country that as a big corporate that's wanting to hire the best students, you're going to start with marks first. You're going to look at marks. But having said that, if you've had a low year or if you've failed a module, right? It's not the end of the world. No. It doesn't mean do not apply to the law firm. But what it does mean is that if you've had a dip, show that you've improved along the way. Like pick it up at some stage because, I mean, it's not a one-way street, right?
Sure. You just fix it. I mean, I've had subjects and tests which were testy. You just recover them.
Yeah.
But aside from the marks, and this is where it gets difficult, and it's and maybe this is the benefit of me having done an undergrad before law.
Yes.
Is that I was able to take the law degree very seriously because all the fun and games had already worked out of the system. So,
in the first 4 years, you had your fun and games.
Yeah, I was able to sort of make my friends and go out and do all these sort of fun student things.
Yes.
And then by the time I'd started law, I'd started with a group with postgrads because I was in that class. And people like Khabo and a few others who have pretty much done the same and were ready to take the degree seriously. And so aside from doing well at campus, we also did other stuff. For instance, the Wits Mood Society, something Khabo and I started together. We competed internationally, both of us. We made the time and took the effort to do that. We both tutored. I ran a business during my law degree, the entire law degree.
Amazing.
Which was quite nice.
Nice.
And all of that sort of stuff helps. You go with a number of differentiators. You've got a couple of experiences. You can tell stories that other people can't. Sort of endears you to potential employers down the line.
Yes.
And, to clients down the line if you then go into business for yourself. I guess it helps if you're doing a law degree because you've got 3-year split, 2-year split. BCom, BA, 2-year LLB.
Yeah.
From your 3rd year of your BCom, your BA, do your 2 years of the LLB. It's time to just get a bit more serious about
to roll off the socks a bit more. I love that. I love your advice just around getting involved in other things as you're studying. Like just be a versatile person, right?
It's always better to be well-rounded. Also, you're more likely going to figure out what you don't want to do by trying them out. And doing it at university is a pretty low-risk way of doing it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not like going into business or spending the money where you need it to keep you alive.
Exactly.
At that stage, you
still depend on your parents. You're still at home.
Or whatever else. It's lower risk.
It's lower risk. Yeah.
And so, if you're burned, or if you burn yourself and realize, shit, I really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world for you. But
Very
if you
true.
do it at the age of like 30, when you've got probably a family to look after. You don't
And
have
a
the luxury
household,
of
yeah.
being able to back out of things.
That's a
The
benefit.
more you cross off your list early, the sooner you figure out what you want to do. And I mean, for me, that was the whole case with the entire degree. I was really dead set on becoming a doctor for a long time. And I did pharmacy to get into medicine afterwards.
Yes.
And I just didn't like clinical work. And
Was there pressure from home at all to do
no,
that?
no.
Not at all.
I've been very, very happy. I was always allowed to choose
Whatever it
whatever
is you
I
wanted
wanted.
to.
I just was quite sure I wanted to be a doctor.
Amazing.
And my parents, thankfully, they supported me all the way. If you want to do it, do it. You want to change the law, that's fine. As long as you've got a plan.
As long as you've got a plan. The onus is still on you to make sure that you're coming up with the plan to choose something that's what you then now commit to.
There's no pressure per se, but I do come, from an environment where we're told there are certain careers that you should do.
It's a high achievement family. It's like you can only do this.
Not only, but you're advised, things like engineering, accounting, medicine, law, things that are going to
pick there.
Conventionally make you money.
Yes.
Make my family
Stay in that
comfortable.
space,
They say you must be able to, no matter what you do afterwards, if things go wrong, you must have a fallback. And university career is a good fallback.
Yeah, very, very true.
And so, my brother's an accountant. My first cousins are both actuaries. So it's just sort of the way it is.
That's the way.
So the plan was, something that you can work at that can put food on the table.
Put food on the table. So tell me something, the amount of time that you spent in corporate, and I think this is just the benefit of those that are still kind of up and coming in their corporate careers, right? When you think about like workplace dynamics and you think about what are the different aspects that you've experienced within a workplace that you wish you could change about the workplace, what would that be for you?
I don't like the changing bit.
You don't want to change anything.
Everyone always says it, but really you're not going to at a junior stage of your career. And this is where this is aimed at. So
No. So
this is,
not as a junior. I'm saying retrospectively, what you think about your career in a corporate space, and you were able to change something about the corporate workplace and corporate dynamics. Not as a junior, even now.
Look, I maybe got off okay. It's there's probably a lot of prejudice and things that people identify with. I'm lucky. I don't think I've ever felt it. Could just be me. So I'm not gonna make that a universal statement. What I do think people should realize, and maybe this is why I felt that way, is because I understood nothing is ever really personal. If you're going to get a bit of a talking to by a director for making a mistake, it's not because they don't like you. It's because you made a mistake.
Yes.
And take it from where it comes, it becomes a bit easier.
I get it.
And so, I mean, it was often the case where I would maybe make a mistake or do something wrong and get a glare and a talking to. But I understood that's just because people are training you.
But I think also because you entered the workspace a lot more mature, right? I think, guys, it makes such a big difference. When you're entering the workspace and you're still 23, 24, still trying to figure yourself out, and then you go through some of these situations, you are going to view the corporate space as being either toxic or too hectic, or, you're just not feeling like you're making any strides in the right direction. But I think when you come in a little bit more mature, you understand some of the things that, listen, if my boss is having a bad day, they are having a bad day. It's got nothing to do with me. And it's not something that you take personally.
You
right?
find the next day. Yeah. It's probably that. I think I was 25 or so when I started.
When you started.
Yeah. So it's exactly that. You
Yeah.
know? And, more often than not, they'll apologize much in the same way parents do, never by saying sorry, by saying, well, come and do this for me.
Get over it.
And that's okay. If you understand that it's not personal, there's been plenty of juniors before you. There'll be plenty after you. All of them are going to get in the same trouble. There's nothing quite so special about the mistake you made.
Yeah.
You're okay.
So if you were able to share, like, what was the most challenging thing for you then?
So, after university, sort of getting back into an understanding of a hierarchy of command. You're a bit more free-spirited at university. You don't really owe an answer to anyone. And in corporate, they can be very nice to you, but you've got a boss. Understanding that not only do you have a boss, but your boss has one too.
Yes.
And ultimately, the sooner you understand that everyone's just got to pull their weight at the relevant part of the chain, the better you will fit in.
That's very true. That's very true.
And so, it didn't take too long to understand. Maybe the first couple of weeks, I then remembered, listen,
where you are.
Just got to fall back in line a bit.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
That's what
there
you've got,
isn't.
and
It's
that's
part
what I
of-
did.
It's part of the
and
game.
things got better then. I started getting more work, got on with people a bit better. And it's not because of a social thing. No one wants you to be, subservient
Antisocial.
in line.
Yes.
People just want the work to be done.
Get the work done.
Ultimately, that's what
you're there
companies
for.
are for, to make profits.
Yeah, agreed. In all of that, as hard as we need to work within corporates, reporting into someone, corporate sometimes can get a bit overwhelming, right? Yeah. Especially if you're juggling like more than one task, more than one instruction. And there's always that kind of toss between like this whole concept of work-life balance, right? How are you able to create those opportunities for you to manage your level of stress or manage your level of anxiety around anything?
Very important to have a hobby.
Yeah, tell me. I want to hear about your hobby.
No, I've played sports. I played golf, and back then I played a bit of tennis, and like with my friends. Now, most of my undergrad friends were all doctors at this stage.
Yes.
I was now the only lawyer.
Yeah.
So on weekends we'd play golf or we'd play sports, or we'd watch sports together, and because they were so far removed from my career as a lawyer, it became very easy for me to unwind, because I'd be with them, and they wouldn't tell me about medical things. I wouldn't tell them about
law things.
So we just talk about other stuff.
There we go.
And that was nice. It was important because then it reminds me that actually my world is not just work. Yeah,
I love that.
And so it's important, and I still keep those hobbies. I still try and play sort of golf with my friends whenever I can, and we try and go for dinner whenever we can. It's a bit harder now because we've all got things, and this went all my friends, my entire first year friend group, we were actually having a very good laugh. Found a picture of us. We all went to Cape Town in 2014.
Yeah.
6 or 7 of us, and all 7 of us are now married. So we've all got our own like families and stuff now, but we still find the time for it. It's important to just have a non-work related
very true.
like downtime.
Very true. Very true.
What I've learned at the bar from a lot of senior advocates is, listen, take a holiday thrice a year, turn your phone off. Important to tune out. It just keeps you refreshed, keeps the bandwidth high, and it's much easier to go back to work on Monday if you've not spent Saturday and Sunday thinking about Friday's problem.
Yeah, that's true.
And
or what's coming up on Monday.
Yeah, and so I think it's very important just to have a hobby, something to channel the stress out.
I love it. Guys, that's a great cue, right? That's a great way of being able to just manage your levels of energy, and also just to refresh your mind, right? I think it's so good to just kind of unplug from work, unplug from things that are expected of you, deliverables. Obviously, you need to manage that if you do have things that are hectic. I'm sure all the time, people will always tell you that if it's hectic and we work. But where there are opportunities to have some downtime, take those opportunities and do that.
You can't be so rigid as, so for instance, like to say, in my example, well, I play golf every Saturday.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work.
Yeah, you can't.
You've got to be realistic about a deadline. If you're in, like how I am now, in court on Monday, and there's no way I'm doing anything else besides prepping this weekend.
Agreed.
So you've got to just be a bit fluid, and, be able to be a bit fluid with your time, and understand that things are not going to fit into neat boxes all the time. You just got to place it elsewhere. And that's part of just life, I suppose. You've got to be adaptable.
Yeah, very true.
Very important to be in every aspect of your life. And so this is just one of those.
Love it. Thank you, Suhail. This has been very informative. I love all the information you've given us about the bar, advocacy versus being an attorney. I think it's going to be such an insightful session for all of the listeners that are tuning into this particular session. But as we head out, one last question for you. If your career had a theme song, this is what I've been asking everyone. Theme song for your career, what would that be right now?
At the moment, Under Pressure by Queen. I
Under
imagine.
pressure. Dun, 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 dun.
Might change
I
in
love
around
it.
December. But certainly now, yes.
I love it. Thank you so much, Suhail. I appreciate your time.
No,
I know
my
you're a
pleasure,
busy
anytime.
person.
No, of course, for you anytime.
But thank you. Would love having you here. Thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Suits and Stories. Make sure that you're tuning into the next episode that's coming up, because it's definitely going to be insightful. And thank you for taking out the time. Make sure to leave a comment if there's anything that you want to know more about this, in terms of advocacy and being an attorney. But I'm sure Suhail has done a thorough job in just explaining what all of that is about and giving you some insights about how to get there. But up until next time, we'll see you then.